What's going on, good people? Welcome back to another episode of B Wayne Present, sponsored by Promarketize. Don't just advertise, Promarketize. As always, I'm your host, B Wayne, and I am very excited today. I have a very special guest with me today, a young lady by the name of Jennifer Miotke, and she
Right,
is the president, if I'm not mistaken, of One-on-One Matchmaking.
right,
And you also have another company, 8 at 8 Dinner Club.
right. Hmm.
You've been in the matchmaking game for about 20 years now, and I am very blessed to have you on. A lot of good information we want to get to. Thank you so much for your time. If you would just kind of give everybody a hello and an intro.
Thank you, Brian. I'm excited to be here. I love talking about dating and talking to people that are out there doing it live. Um, so I have been a matchmaker in Atlanta 20 years, and what I think is really unique about me is that I also use dating services. I did online dating, I did speed dating. I used our company 8 at 8 Dinner Club, and I hired matchmakers twice. I've worked for four different dating services. So I'm getting old now. I'm pushing 50 and I feel like I really understand what's out there and how different generations view dating and what makes people marketable and not marketable. So I feel like I'm in a really good position now to give advice.
I'm very excited. This is really exciting for me because I've been interested in dating for a long time. You and I are similar ages. I'm 47, and I was around back when you could date, when you could flirt with people on, MySpace. I come from Jesus. Some of you guys listening may not even have ever heard of MySpace. Um,
Yeah.
you could pick people up on Black Planet. There were phone chat lines.
Hmm.
Um, all the different dating apparatuses that we use to meet people. I come from an era where it was a cool thing for men and women for a gentleman to walk up to a young lady, at a club, at a bar, at the grocery store, at the gas station, and speak to her, and you played the game, and it was cool and it was fun and it was respectful. And now we're strictly social media, and men and women in a lot of ways seem like we really don't get along. We really don't respect each other. Some of us seem like we don't want to have anything to do with one another. And
Right.
your dating has become a $1 billion industry and you're an expert in it. Can you tell us a little bit to get us started about what it is exactly that a matchmaker is and what a matchmaker does?
Yeah, I love that. So matchmaking is definitely a growing industry. I think that matchmakers are going to become like real estate agents in the future. I think it will only be a growing field. And basically, people that are pretty successful, I'd say that generally when people are college educated, making around $150,000, they look into different ways to go about doing this other than online dating. And it's just simply a means to an end in terms of they don't want to meet everybody on the internet. They want somebody to have met them before they do to make sure they're physically what they're expecting. Um, Definitely divorced. The physical attributes are there if they're a man, and that they like their personality. It's like your friend meeting a date before you would and deciding whether it's worth your time. So people hire matchmakers just because they can afford it, essentially. And I think the stigma has gone away of like people that hire matchmakers or people that desperately need it. In fact, I turn away people all the time that I think are would be difficult to date. I want to represent the best of the best that you want to market, just like a real estate agent wants to represent a really good house that she's excited to show. So yeah, I mean, these are just successful people that, want somebody to market them, and they want to vet their matches a little bit more than just talking forever to people online because there's too many problems out there.
I imagine anything that anyone wants to do well, you would associate yourself with someone who is proficient in that industry, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know why. I guess there's a stigma attached, when it comes to dating. Honestly, I don't know. It seems like it would be just a reasonable and intelligent thing to do. When it
Yeah.
comes to your industry and your company, who do you find are the demographic that tends to be most eager to seek you all out?
Um, so in general, the people that are hiring matchmakers in Atlanta, they probably are college educated, 65% advanced degree. They make $250,000 or more. About 35% of them own businesses, and the rest of them are just high level successful people. I mean, the women might be consultants, software sales. The men are, I mean, they can do those things too, but they can also could be a doctor or an attorney with their own practice. They could be a partner in a major law firm or consulting firm. That I mean, they're just successful people, really. Really established people. I would think the kind of people that are hiring a matchmaker have probably like have looked into or already hired a personal trainer. They may have hired a stylist at some point. And again, this is just a means to an end. They just want somebody helping them save time because they're running a business and sometimes they have kids and they don't have time to go on random dates because their time is the most important thing to them.
Do you find that there are more women, men? Are they African American? Are they more Caucasian? Or is it just
I
completely
like that question.
random?
I don't get that. Um, so I don't know if this has to do with us being Caucasian, but in general, I've been in the business 20 years and I know other matchmakers. I do feel like I'm just going to be direct. African American men are the least likely suspects to hire a matchmaker. But everybody else totally seeks it out.
Interesting.
Yep.
What's your theory? I know you must have one.
I think that black men are used to being like, confident and direct and approaching a woman directly, and there's a lot of ego involved in seeking out a matchmaker. They don't feel like they need it.
Wow.
They don't want to admit they want help. That's what I
So
think.
it's like, wow. So it's like an ego thing. It's like if I need assistance, but you wouldn't feel that way by hiring an attorney or
Yeah,
a real estate agent. So like, I guess
right.
love is something different, right?
Yeah, but I mean, in a lot of ways, I respect that because I mean, overall, like a confident black guy will approach a woman if he's interested in her, and white guys don't do that as much. So,
Okay.
I feel like it's just a different beast to handle, you know. But I mean, but getting a successful African American man in Atlanta that will hire a matchmaker and commit to a monogamous relationship is hard. I mean, it's like the golden egg at Easter.
Heard that. I heard that disclaimer at the end, and will commit to a monogamous relationship. Are you
Right.
suggesting that the men there are more likely to engage in polyamorous relationships, or
Oh,
they
no, no, no,
just
no. No, no, no,
okay,
just dating a lot of people.
okay, okay, all right.
So, I mean, I don't
So,
think they wanna be polyamorous. I haven't had that guy. I wouldn't take that guy. Yeah,
what are some like, out here in the world? And you have been an entrepreneur. You've been in this business for 2 decades.
yeah.
So
I don't own it,
you
by the way.
okay,
I'm the
okay.
I'm the, the right-hand person.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah,
But you have been in and around this industry
totally.
for okay. Do you find so okay, so maybe I wonder if you are hearing or if you're aware of what's going on in the world and between men and women
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how
totally.
okay, okay. So what are some of the I noticed that you have a ring on your hand, so you there's no need for you to be out in these streets, which is a great thing.
Right.
What are you hearing about what's going on out in the dating world currently?
I feel like women are kind of obsessed with meeting a successful man. Yeah, and I feel like everybody is trying to be this person they see on social media that is, in the islands on the yacht with the handbags, and it's all just sort of an illusion. Um, and also I feel like as women have become more educated, more successful, they always want a more successful man than they are. And it's kind of irrelevant at a certain point. You know what I mean? I mean, if you can buy your own handbags and all that stuff, I mean, you don't need a wealthy guy anymore. I don't even, I think that women need to change what they respect in a man, and it's not just all about money. And I think that what's happening with men, at least the men that hire me, they keep saying they want a traditional woman. I mean, women that are like, I think that woman, quite frankly, is disappearing. And I know that might be sad to hear, but if she's not gonna want to cook and clean if she is making really good money anymore. Now she could hire a chef, you know what I mean? Y'all could hire a chef together. So I feel like men really want this traditional woman, and women want to be respected and treated as an equal, not like a less than partner. And I feel like they are not willing to settle for a guy that is going to put them in any sort of subservient role. They'd rather be single. So that is where the friction comes. Like, women don't want to feel subservient to a man, they want to feel equal. And I think that women need to realize that equality can come in more than just the financial package. I mean, women feel like they need a bigger dog than they do financially, and I don't think they need that necessarily. There's a lot of very successful women that out earn the men they're with her, and they're in very happy relationships. Very, I mean,
I
many.
feel
So
like I I feel like, and I'm want to get your opinion on this. So when we say the talk is now the modern woman, the modern man, the traditional
right,
woman, the traditional man, and I
yeah,
feel like yeah, there is the belief from a lot of women that men are just looking basically for a slave, right? A
right,
sex slave, somebody to cook and clean and have sex with
right,
me whenever I want to have sex. But in
right,
my mind, and I believe in the mind of most traditional, and I consider myself a traditional male, just if nothing else, because of my age and my Christian beliefs. I feel like it really is more about the values, right? As
mhm,
opposed to, okay, I want you to, I don't need, I can cook. My mother
yeah,
couldn't cook. My dad taught me how to cook. I don't need a woman to cook for me. I clean up after myself. You just clean up after yourself. You clean your stuff,
right,
I'll clean mine. I
okay,
feel like it's not that we're looking for somebody to, cook and clean. We're looking for a woman who has traditional values, meaning, you know, the man being the man of the house, the head of the household,
right.
and the man basically handles what's going on outside of the home. The woman handles and manages what's going on inside of the home. Is that far fetched, or is that not what you're seeing, or what do you think?
No, I think that men need to explain that, because I
Okay.
think that to women like me, who's a type A, go getter driven woman, and the kind of women that hire me, when you say traditional, we think you want us to homeschool kids and cook and clean. And I mean, when you say the man leads the house, which I'm a Christian girl too, does that still mean we get a say, or are you telling us what to do? I mean, we just need to talk about what that looks like, because, right, we agree. We just need to talk about what that looks like, because you can lead the house if I respect you to lead it and you have your act together. If you don't have your act together and the woman has their act together more than you do, I mean, we might not think you're strong enough to lead us.
But you wouldn't marry me if that was the case, right? And you
Okay.
would you wouldn't marry me if you didn't think I was worthy of leading you, right? So
Right.
that's and we do need to have that conversation, because there are people outside of the traditional marriage mindset who are creating narratives, and everyone's like, yeah, yeah, but that's not what we're saying. And that's not
Right.
what we really believe. Like, I don't need that. I want my lady to be available to me and me to her. And a wise man, a kingdom-minded man, would be a fool to not listen to and value the opinion and beliefs of his wife, because we understand you all have a discernment that we don't necessarily have. You have a
Mhm.
spiritual sensitivity that we can utilize and benefit from. God says the man who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains what? Favor. How do we get the favor? You can't get the favor if you're not listening to your wife and you're just telling her what to do. That's not how that works. And I think that there are a lot of men who have, and relationships, toxic relationships, dysfunctional relationships, that created a narrative that I think some people believe still exists. But in our minds, we're like, that's not who we are. Is that
Right.
what you're seeing from the men that you're dealing with? Is that what they believe in, or are they actually saying something different?
No, I mean, I think the way you explain traditional values is gonna go over well, and I think if a man is on the same page with you, that talk will go over well. But many, many men that I work with say traditional values, and they literally mean cook. They literally mean also be totally available when they want, because they run a business, that the woman should be able to travel with them whenever they want. And, it's not that the woman has not been sitting around waiting on a man to pay her bills and travel with him. I mean, like, she's got a life too, and she's not always available. So I think because a lot of men like that use the word traditional, and they mean homeschooling kids, not working when they have children, traveling when they want, being totally available, then men need to talk about what traditional values looks like, and how they would respect the woman even if they led her, and what that would look like. Because yeah, we don't want to feel women don't want to feel controlled. And now that a lot of women are earning their own money, they're not going to be controlled. They'd rather not be in a relationship than to feel controlled. So I think a lot of women really do want the man to take the lead. They want an alpha man, especially in Georgia, traditional values. They value the man leading the house, but they have to know that um their opinions, and them being a woman and how they feel about things, are taken into account, and not decisions are not just made for them without totally being discussed. Like, I know men that have bought houses and not discussed where the house was. I mean, you have to talk about that with who you're with.
That's completely unacceptable. That completely right. And I've actually heard of situations like that. But for me, like everything, two becoming one means we need to discuss pretty much everything. Like you don't have to tell me you had, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. And I don't necessarily have to tell you, or ask you for permission to wear this tie or that tie. But there are certain topics that have to be discussed, and you have to know that going in. But that being said, the caveat, these women that are looking for the alpha and
Right.
the traditional and the go-getter and the man with the money, and he has this and he has that, there is going to be a certain amount of I'm the boss, this is what's going on for a lot of those men. And some women I feel have to understand that. But my question is, what happened to the women who are like, I want my man to take care of me, pay all the bills, and I don't care if we have a nice house, this place or that place. Now, yeah, we haven't discussed where we're going, but are there no longer any women that just want to stay home and just for the sake of argument, yes, cook and clean and hold the household down, and the man is paying all of the bills and taking care? Where are those women disappearing to?
I think that is culturally changing in society. I think that there's still women like that, but I would estimate it's probably 15 to 20% of women, you
So
know?
that's an endangered species.
It's an
That's
endangered
that.
endangered species, and I don't know that it's that women don't want that anymore. It's just that they know that they can't wait around on a man to take care of them,
Number
right?
one, and number two, they understand that with that comes a certain amount of territorial,
Territorial.
basically. Yeah, you basically run the show, and she's not going to have equal say because not there are men who don't understand that just because you have all this money and because you're this guy out in the street, when you come home, your partner is your equal.
Right, right. And I deal with a lot of women that were married to men like that, and even though they, it's like the man would always expect for them to cook, and always expect for them to quit their job and move where the man was, and like they didn't want to do it every day, right? Like they felt a sense of control, and they're like rebelling against that. And some of those women have had kids now, and they tell the girl to make her own money, to never rely on a man. And I feel like that created a pretty independent woman. You know what I mean? So I do feel like I have a lot of guys. I had lunch with a guy on Friday. I've had some great guys, super smart, master's degrees, super successful people, and they want a woman that would stay at home. And I feel like they have to be open to the fact that a woman may not, they might end up with a woman who doesn't want to stay at home. Do you see what I'm saying? And they may have to be open to that, or stay single a long time, because I feel like today's woman doesn't necessarily want to quit her career to stay at home, because they know women that did that and they weren't happy, right? So they're gonna have to find a compromise. Maybe find a woman that would stay at home 3 to 5 years, but not the whole time. because that is a dwindling species, and it just has to be something that you negotiate and compromise, just like your other friendships, just like your work. It might not look exactly the way you're envisioning, and if you're gonna be so hard-headed as to only date this kind of person, I think you're gonna get frustrated and get mad.
And I think a lot of what's going on. So whatever issues that men currently experiencing with women, a lot of it we brought on ourselves. And I'll be the first to admit it. We spent a long time disrespecting women, taking women for granted, abusing women, neglecting women. We used the Bible and any other means we could as an excuse to um oppress women, to mistreat women, to treat them in ways that are, disrespectful and less than what God really intended when he created marriage, right? And now you have women just basically like they can't count on us. They can't depend on us to be
Mhm.
someone so reliable and dependable that okay, I can give this man that much power and control and trust that he will not misuse it. But what do we do with power if not to abuse power?
Right.
Um, you mentioned earlier you did when we were like at the very beginning, you said basically something to the effect of someone marketing themselves, right?
Mhm.
And it brought up an interesting topic. So you kind of see in your business, someone has to be marketable when it comes to dating.
Right.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's interesting, that sometimes the perception are still out there, um, that like, who are these losers that hire matchmakers that can't pick up a girl by themselves or whatever. I mean, an experienced matchmaker will not work with any schmo. Like, she doesn't want to take on the weirdo that lives in his, even if he's got family money, that it lives with his mom. You know what I mean? That's has bad social skills. She will not deal with him. She only wants to take on sort of like the good houses. So, I don't, did that answer your question? I mean, I'm looking for somebody that does not sound like an asshole to work with, and that is decent looking and has reasonable expectations and good social skills to work with them. I mean, I want them, it's like, I'm your pitcher, I'm throwing you strikes. I need you to be able to hit the ball. I mean, if you can't hit the ball, we already have a problem, you know?
I
So,
find it interesting because go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, that's it. I mean, right? I want them
I,
to
I,
hit the ball more often than not.
people don't we don't it's funny the fact that you use the word marketing, someone being marketable, because we like to try to act like we're not selling ourselves to
Right.
other people when we're
Right.
looking for a potential mate. Like we don't need to look a certain way. Like we don't need to present ourselves a certain way. Like we don't need to come off a certain way. People act like that's not really a thing. Like it almost makes it almost turns you into a product, right?
That's the way the world's going. That's how you're dating online. You are a product, unfortunately.
This is not a racial thing, but I'm honestly just curious. Do you find, and you're in Atlanta, and
Mhm.
I'm speaking with Jennifer Miotke,
Mhm.
with one-on-one matchmaking services. She's been in this industry for about 20 years.
Right.
You're in Atlanta. You're based in Atlanta. So when we think of Atlanta, I think the typical person we think of black people, black folks, right? That's
Yeah.
what we think when we think of Atlanta. And all it obviously depends on what city you're
Yes.
talking about. Atlanta is basically uptown, or the uptown area and surrounding area, right, or downtown area, right around that area. And
Yes.
then you
I mean,
have
I
all of
think it's
these.
half and half black and white. I mean, maybe it's 'cause
Okay,
I'm white.
okay. Do you find, is it equal black women and white women, or does it, is it more one or the other? And what are your thoughts on that?
Black women wanna hire us all the time. I don't take them on as often unless, because I don't have enough good black men, to be honest with you. So, I'm really careful about taking them on. I'd love to have um more black couples. I mean, like, more African Americans in general, but I don't usually have trouble finding the women, I have trouble finding the men. So, can you help me with that, Brian? Thank you.
I will do what I can. We will be on the lookout. So quality, successful, emotionally healthy, and black men. If you're out there, you get
Like
in
that, but
contact with
want to settle down,
who
right?
want to settle down. We don't need any
Right.
players or guys that are still running around, dealing with any and every. We're not looking for that. We're looking for guys who want a stable,
They want
credible,
to get married.
successful relationship. They
Yeah.
want to get married and maybe have some babies. Do
Yeah.
you do you find what's the age range? I would imagine that you're dealing with older because you need to have a couple of dollars put
Yeah.
away in order to utilize your services. So are you only dealing with 40 and ups, or do you have like 20 something tech entrepreneurs that are like, hey, I want to find my lady?
The bulk of our clients are 30s, 40s, and 50s, but we have clients in the 20s and have clients in the 60s and 70s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. It just peaks around our age. The owner and I are 48.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's around that age range.
Yeah, and I think that's the age range where people have money. I think that when they're in their 30s and 40s, they're looking to settle down and maybe have a family. And in their 50s, they've, made it, right? Financially pretty established, and it's more about, like, juggling running their successful career and their kids at that point, and they just don't wanna waste time because they have too many things on their plate.
How does the process in itself work? You have like an interview with an individual to determine their marketability and their preferences. How does it work?
So people just they either find we run 8 at 8 Dinner Club, which is the least expensive professional dating service in Atlanta. And so they just are Googling dating in Atlanta and they come across 8 at 8, or they find the matchmaking company. But it doesn't matter which one they find out. I mean, essentially, I talk to them and I try to qualify them over the phone a little bit, but it's not always like deciding whether or not they suck and I can represent them. It's also making sure I know of matches for them, right? That they sound like reasonable people when I talk to them. That they're not like, if it's a woman who's like, oh no, he's got to be 6'2", like I don't want to work with her. She sounds like a pain in the ass. If it's a guy that's like, like overly talking about hips and ass or something. I mean, like, like the physicality of it. I probably don't want to work with them either because that's like a chat room or something. I don't know, right? So I'm just sort of trying to feel them out and like what they're looking for. So sometimes they just moved to the city and they don't know anybody, and that they want to do 8 at 8 and they're pretty open on ethnicity. I'm like, yeah, do 8 at 8. We don't get into ethnicity or religion. It's really fun. That's for your like average corporate person that just wants to, they want to upgrade from online dating. Maybe it's kind of like at the gym. You want to upgrade from Crunch Fitness, right? You want to go to a little bit nicer gym. It's just like, whatever it is, like the boutique gym in town. That's 8 at 8. And then if they're more picky, if they are pretty successful, right? They're writing on their what their income bracket is and where they live and stuff like that, and they're picky, then I'm talking about matchmaking, you know?
How important, especially nowadays, do you find political views and opinions
Oh,
to
yes.
be involved in how you do your match, or even who you would want to take on as a client?
Yeah, I mean, we have a podcast where we talk about this kind of thing. I mean, Trump has literally blown up the world in terms of like, making everybody be on board with politics. Like, I have a good looking white dude and he wants to date a conservative African American woman who's beautiful. And I'm like, I mean, all right, I'll do my best. That's right. But anyway, no, I mean, it's really politics have blown up so much, and I feel like um I post about this on my LinkedIn too. Like we're more alike than we realize, and unless you plan on running for politics, you probably need to stop talking about it, right? Like you seriously, what is happening? That you just day to day life, being a married person with kids, you are not talking about politics every day, and if you are, please get outside. Like, what is going on? I think that needs to, it's a real problem. This is a split state. So when people go off about politics, I'm like, all right, well, you won't date 50% of singles. I'm glad that we have discovered that now tell me about all your other preferences, which have cut it down to 25%. I mean, right? They need to take that off the table unless they're very, very far right or very, very far left, you know, like that doesn't need to be something that they're picking their partner on unless they feel really passionately about it. And I would think if you feel really passionately about it, then you're getting involved in politics in some way.
So I agree with everything you said, 100%.
Do you?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Right.
Do you not feel though that, especially in today's climate, no matter
Mhm.
what you believe, no matter who you voted for or what you believe, that who you vote for and how you vote really says a lot about who you are as a person and your moral character and your values and your ideals. I know you believe those things are important, your values and your character and your ideals. Do you not believe that who we vote for says very much about
Yeah,
who we
definitely.
are?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a liberal Christian girl, though, which makes me more moderate, being Christian. And I think that people need to realize that a lot of business owners are conservative because of money. So while I think that's greedy, I mean, if you want to date a business owner, a very successful person, there's a very good chance he is conservative and it's about money.
It's
And
more
well,
pragmatism than actual what you believe as a person. It's just what
right.
your best interest.
You may be asking for too much to ask for a very successful man that believes exactly the way you do about politics. So now you might have to pick what's more important to you. Is it money or politics? And if it's politics, then put your money where your mouth is and, date a teacher, right? Or date a business owner. I mean, right? You cannot have everything you want in this world. Everybody doesn't see the world the same way you do, and you need to be open to interacting with people that don't see the world the way you do and still be able to like them. Because if you can't in Georgia, that means you don't like every other person you talk to. But I mean,
Right.
the state's divided.
You spoke about the attractive white guy. He's looking for a nice black girl, a conservative black girl. Is there a
Right.
lot of interracial dating that you find going on in Atlanta or with your company, or
There
was that
could,
was that rare?
um, no. I would say 35 and under is a lot more open. I mean, look, this goes along with age, right? Like a 60-year-old African American woman trying to date a white dude in Georgia. I mean, she just made that up, right? But like, unfortunately, probably, I'm sure we're gonna get some hate email from that. But like, it's not like a big preference, right? 60-year-old white guys targeting African American women. But I would say 35 and under, a lot of those guys are pretty open, you know? I don't know. That answers the question. I mean, I think it got
Yeah.
racism got watered down as generations went on.
How do
So
you feel about are there? And I know you said you have an issue, not an issue. You would love to have more black people, but
black men,
unfortunately,
yes.
right? You would,
Successful
but
black men that want to be
right,
monogamous.
and women. You would love to have successful, people of
Yeah.
color
Right.
because it's an issue because you're
Right.
having difficulty finding the type of black men you could connect with these black women. Now, do you find that black women are becoming more open to dating outside of their race, or are they
No,
just very, very much stuck? Wow, look at that!
no,
Look that you had
no.
it.
Yes. They're very open. They're
Oh,
totally,
really?
oh yeah. I mean, most of them, like 25% that I talk to, I mean, again, they might not be calling me because I'm very white. You know what I mean? But most of the black women that I talk to, I would say 75% of them are totally open to dating outside of their race.
Okay. All right. Do you have like a database that you guys pull from? How do you actually find, like, okay, let's say I come to you like, yeah, I want you to help me find blah 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 blah. Then
Hmm.
you go into your pool of candidates, or do you like, all right, we got to find this guy, this, and then you begin to advertise and begin to actively recruit and look for that particular one.
Um, yeah, we would put a query in the database, but we know them. I mean, it would be like a principal of a school putting a query in of all the students that go to the school. She also knows them, right? So that I might be able to think about people on the top of my head too.
Okay. So you
And
already have access to these. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, and like I could advertise, but like I know other matchmakers in Atlanta. So for instance, I mean, I have a matchmaker friend, and she's an African American girl and she's younger than me, and like we might work together on a search. And sometimes, yeah, I will when I recruit, she might put it out on her Instagram or something, and I'm too old for that. And I would probably
You
ask
are not. You
Well, I'm
are
38,
not.
like, I'm not doing the
Cut it out.
Instagram, too crazy. Anyway, I'm not, like, checking the Instagrams, I'm, like, calling people I know and asking them who they know.
Right.
It would be more like that. Not
So
all.
you guys can work together in your industry. It's
Yeah,
not super
totally.
duper competitive to the point where you're like, I hate that. I'm trying to, you're trying to kill each other and steal clients from each other. You can actually come together and kind of work
Yeah,
together on some
to
cases.
yeah,
Okay.
mhm, yeah.
All right.
Matchmakers work together like real estate agents would. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it's still competitive, but you can also work together. Mhm,
Okay. So you spoke about preferences a bit ago.
mhm.
And this is a major topic because a lot of men, I think for a while now, have felt like a lot of women have unrealistic expectations when it comes to what they're looking for. This what
Yeah, totally. About money.
barbershop talk. Okay, okay,
Yeah, about
okay.
money.
So so the whole, he's got to be 6 foot, this, make six figures, have a six pack, and all of that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to personal preferences, we'll start with what you all what would make you say, you know what, I don't want to deal with that client. And then I would love to give some insight to people who are outside of matchmaking who are looking for someone and what kind of preferences that you feel coming from that industry, from what you've seen and all the
Mhm,
connections that you've made,
mhm.
what is more moderate and what might be a little outside of the norm or a little bit unrealistic. So starting with preferences that you would accept as a client or red flags that you would look for, what would those be?
Um, I am just looking for somebody that sounds like uh they can negotiate or be open. I mean, just rigid people in general, like, nah, I don't do more than this height, this kind of money. I don't want to deal with that person. They sound like they're difficult to deal with in general. So it's more that, right? I mean, because nobody wants to date a person who's not like more laid back and cool. Right. So is that, right? So it's just coming to me like sometimes when I talk to people, they talk to me about what they're looking for as if they are giving me an order for their dinner. Right? Like I'm like supposed to just be like, oh, got it, got it, got it. Okay, yes, I will serve him up to you. Or I'll serve her up to you. And so yeah, just people that talk about that way like it's like an object, I don't like it.
You remember that movie Weird Science from back in the day with
Yeah.
Kelly LeBrock? You
And I
remember
make
that?
that joke all the time. I cannot weird science this girl for you. So where are you willing to be flexible? Right?
Flexibility and adaptability. Okay.
Yeah.
What would turn you off in your industry? So rigidity. What are
Yeah,
some other things that okay?
just that. I
So
mean, it's just the way they talk about like I remember one time I had this guy was like, I like women that are 5'7" to 5'9" that weigh no more than 135 pounds. And I remember being like, I do not want to take this dude. I mean, like, right. Like, it's just like, that's so objectifying the way you talked about it, you know?
it's not healthy either. It doesn't sound healthy. I could be
Right.
wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
She needs a sandwich. Like that's a bit slim from my
right. That's not
that's
right,
just me.
dude, for you.
I got you. I got you. That's just me. All right. Okay. So all right. For some of us who are out in the world, they're outside of the matchmaking industry and they're just, they're on social, they're on dating apps,
Right.
they're, on the street. They have these preconceived notions. They have this checklist of she's got to do this, he's got to have that, she's got to be this. What would you say to those people that have these beliefs and these expectations going in as far as what they want and they're not willing to navigate, they're not willing to compromise, they're not willing because they see anything outside of what they want specifically as settling? What would you say to them?
Okay. Are we, you, maybe it'd be better to talk about women and men differently.
Let's
Like,
do it.
okay. So for women, I would say when you're talking about height, first of all, the average height of men in the United States is 5'9". So if you're talking about wanting a 6 foot dude, you're looking at 30% of singles. And right, like, I mean, I don't know any woman that's like, I hate 6 feet tall dudes. So you're basically competing with every woman out there. Right? So that's silly. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, the height thing. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I get it if he's got like baby small hands, like, little kid hands, that's freaking you out, or he's super skinny. But like, that's crazy. Your grandmother did not like meet a man and measure his height. Like, that is ridiculous. I, when women talk about height too much, I literally think they're not that smart, because that is crazy to meet somebody and like you're talking about how tall he is right away. I mean, I guess that would be like him asking you your breast size right away. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, you don't want him to objectify you like that and you're objectifying him. That's crazy. It's also not that smart to like think of men that way. The other thing is income. I mean, so yeah, we just did a podcast about this too. The person, a man making over 250,000, it says, is 1.58% of people. So if you're looking for that kind of man, then I mean, plus 6 feet, I mean, you've really like eliminated your options. And I also hope you look like a model, because you're targeting like what a model targets. And so I hope you're perfect weight. I hope you're always cool. Hope you're charming and never cuss, never bitter, because you've really, I don't know, just the money thing. I think that that also is doesn't show a lack, it shows a lack of depth, and that you can't respect somebody for more than just the actual dollars they bring in. Um, I mean, and I'm pretty sensitive about this because I am the breadwinner in my family. I mean, obviously, Oprah is more successful than her husband. One of my favorite podcasters, Jenna Kutcher, is. I mean, women are way like many relationships that are healthy and happy. The man is not out earning the woman, but he is doing things that make the business or the home thrive, right? Like, cooking meals, staying home with the kids, planning their vacations, doing the finances. Like, are you so not don't have enough depth that you can't see how that might impact you financially? I mean, if you make $250,000 a woman, even if you end up with a guy who makes $80,000, who knows how to fix things and can help tutor the kids, he's probably more like $150,000 a year. And plus, you have somebody that you respect to talk about your problems with. You don't want to raise kids by yourself. I mean, you just took your $250,000 salary to 120, right? So I don't know, just also the focus on the handbags and the vacations and stuff like that with money is stupid. I mean, it just shows that you don't have enough depth. So I think women are a little bit obsessed with money, and the height thing is ridiculous.
What about the men?
Um, I think, well, if a guy's online dating and he's using that word traditional, I would challenge you to stop using that word as a successful woman, because she may be interpreting it as you work for her. And, you know, you could say something else like, well, I'd love it if you let me lead. And I've got this. I want to take you out, and I'm going to plan everything, and let me be in charge. You don't have to say that you need her to be traditional. It's like making her feel like she's lacking something and she is not feminine. So I think kind of men are like, yeah, a little bit, they'll say like a nurturing woman. I mean, even very alpha women, they have the ability to be nurturing if you can make them feel like they don't have to make all the decisions, you know? So I think you could say that. My husband says that to me, like, sit back and relax. I've made all the plans, you know? So I think maybe just sort of the way you approach that. Also feel like, I mean, yeah, that's the main thing I feel like men are asking for, a traditional woman and nurturing woman. Okay, another thing that a man says, and maybe because it's the type, I'm a type A girl and my clients are type A girls too, I hired a matchmaker, is men say all the time, and I ask them to explain it and then I understand it the way you describe traditional, but they will say all the time, like, I don't care what she does for a living. I don't care what she does for a living. Well, I mean, if you're a woman who takes any pride in her career, that might bother you if you said you don't care about what you do for a living. Like, we hear you don't care about her brain or her passions, her money doesn't matter to me. Like, well, I mean, it matters to her that she got out of debt and she put herself through college. And So so yeah, I mean, I would say for men to quit talking about like wanting a traditional woman, make her feel like a woman and she'll want to be bring out her feminine side and to not say over and over again like it doesn't matter to me what you do for a living. I mean, I don't know because I think women take some pride in what they accomplish with their lives.
I never thought about it like that, the way you explained it just now. And it just, and this is one of the oldest saying, it is not super old, but men being from Mars and women from Venus. And
Mhm.
there's just a super disconnect, and we don't understand each other. I think at one time we thought we did. And I think as time progresses, it seems like men and women begin to understand each other less and less. And
Right.
we don't talk to one another. We talk at each other, and there's
Right.
a lack of respect, and there's a lack of understanding, and there's a lack of trust, and so there's a cycle. You know what I mean? We don't trust because we don't understand. We don't understand because we don't communicate. We don't communicate because we don't trust. So
Right.
it just, the cycle goes on and on and on. Where do you feel like the compromise occurs? Where do we bridge? And I know this is very broad. It's almost like philosophical, but with your experience and your expertise in your field, your industry, where do you think men and women can kind of begin to bridge the gap and find a way back to unity, and away from the divisiveness that seems to be going on right now?
Yeah, I think some of this is really taking a look at what happened in society. Like, you know, a lot of men when they want, I mean, women, what is it? How many years ago was that? Like 70 years ago, I don't know, I'm not doing like, they couldn't vote, right? And you couldn't own property without a man, and, like, women were marrying men for financial security, and that has changed with women being able to go to college and being able to buy our own property and things like that. So, I think for men, you need to understand that needs to feel a certain level of independence and will always fight for that because she doesn't wanna be like her grandma. You know what I mean? And you need to let her feel like even though you want a traditional relationship, that she's still going to be able to have her independence, but you want to lead. So I feel like you men need to understand where women have come from, that like, their grandmothers literally like couldn't vote and couldn't always go to college and things, and they were some of the first generations to be able to make this kind of money and get this kind of education, and they are so proud of it that they need to feel appreciated for what they've done and not to feel like they're being like set backwards. So I think that if men could just understand what it might be like to be like a woman whose grandmother said, I couldn't go to college. A woman couldn't be in fields like this, right? That how much we really value our independence and our ability to take care of ourselves, and, you know, just understand that if you were a woman, you wouldn't want that independence taken away from you, and trying to treat her as an equal or at least value her opinion. Um, I think that as a woman, you need to try to understand the way men think, and that, you know, we always want a man who's emotionally intelligent and that can talk things out, but men don't talk about problems the way women do. They just solve them and answer things quickly. So you need to appreciate what a man brings to the table. I know that, like, when I go to problems with my girlfriends, they can talk to me about for 30 minutes, we can kick it around, come up with a game plan. When I talk to my husband about it, he's like, "That's stupid. Tell her you won't do that." Like, I mean, it's a much more, direct way, and I have to appreciate that he doesn't need to, like, kick it around and debate it and come at it at different angles, and just sort of appreciate his opinion for what it is, because he's not a woman and he wants to solve it quickly and efficiently. And, you can't, I feel like women are like putting a lot of stock on men to be emotionally intelligent. They're emotionally intelligent in a different way. And maybe you're not valuing the little things that they say or what they did say. Right. So I think that women could look at that. And also think if they're Christian, like you and I are, that they look at what the Bible has to say, that or the man leaves the house and that he values his mate and takes that into account, and they talk about it from that perspective if they have that in common.
You brought up a really good point, and I'm running low on time. It really went by fast, and I'm really enjoying the conversation. I appreciate your time. This is Jennifer Mayaki with the 101 Matchmaking. Um, we have to understand as men, especially as a black man, when you brought up basically oppression, women being oppressed, it's like, wow, yeah, that is kind of true. Like
Right.
oppression and misogyny has probably been going on even longer than racism, right? And as a black
Right.
man, I'm not going to let anybody oppress me. I will never allow myself to go back to where we came from, my people came from. And I can
Hmm.
understand and respect where women are coming from when it comes to, hey, we have this independence, we're not going back. So we have
Right.
to understand as men that we have to kind of let our hands off the wheels and allow the woman, hey, I don't want to oppress you. I don't want to make you subservient to me. I respect your independence. Do you feel like the issue is, do you feel like that independence, and a lot of people talk about feminism, we haven't talked about it, but there has been a lot of talk about feminism, right? And the whole feminist movement and what that's done for relationships. Do you feel like there's an overcorrection that has happened, or do you feel like this is just what it is? And as men, we just have to accept it and go with it?
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn about feminism. I I feel like women are wanting their cake and eating it too, and that they want to be independent, but they still want the man to pay for stuff
Pay
all
for
the time.
everything. Right.
Yeah, right. Like, I
Right.
mean, if you really want an equal relationship and him to treat you like a partner, I mean, maybe offer to split the bill on the first date because you're like going in like you're gonna let him lead, and you really don't want him to lead. So, I mean, that's not the kind of relationship you're looking for, maybe if you're a doctor, for him to lead. So, and that's okay. There might be somebody that will, let's say you're a non-religious doctor that is cool with that, with splitting everything with you financially. So, in that way, I feel like there's been an overcorrection. But I just read a book about a book about like feminine. I read dating books all the time, and the woman kept referring to being a feminist, and I found it so annoying for like 7 chapters into she calling herself a feminist. But by the end, I sort of got it in that she, I mean, well, or I understood what she was trying to get at, asking good questions to get to the depth of a relationship. And I think that if you're, first of all, if you're a feminist, you don't have to talk about it all the time, just like you don't have to talk about politics. I mean, right? It just means that you think women should be equal. I don't know that you have to wear it as a banner and tell everybody just like politics. I think that's a little much. You should assume that somebody respects women until they show you that they don't. So
And
I think
I think
it's unnecessary to talk about.
feminism, in my humble opinion, it has gone from being about equal rights for women to it's coming awfully close to becoming a superiority thing or a competition. Not,
Right,
hey, we should be able to vote. I should be able to own my own home. I
right,
should not have to ask my husband for permission to do this, that, or the other. But it's almost gotten to the point of being like a competition now. And I
right,
don't think I think that's it's done not irreparable damage, but definitely um severe damage to love and relationships and how we see one another as men and women. Um
right.
to get
It's
your
like money. If you have it, you don't talk about it. Like, if you're a feminist,
right.
you have to tell the world, like, what is up with that is obviously some sort of weird insecurity that you have that men are gonna disrespect you.
It's like being an alpha male. A guy that's an alpha doesn't have to go. You can feel the presence of an alpha when he walks into a room. If a
Totally.
guy's going around talk,
It's weird.
say again.
I have to tell you he's an alpha. It's
Oh,
weird. I'm wondering why
right.
you announced it to me. Like,
Right. And it's a security thing. Like you don't have to say it. It's gonna speak for itself.
right.
Um, I want to get just a couple more questions. I'm gonna get you out of here, get you back to your day, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's been
Pardon
fun.
me. So we're talking about people that are outside of the world of matchmaking. We talked about matchmaking. Now we're going to talk about us everyday folks that are out here.
Yeah.
First, where do you feel a person who is interested in dating, who is looking for a person, where do we find these individuals? Are we utilizing dating apps? And if so, do you have some that you would caution to stay away from or that you would recommend? Do you recommend that you go to a friend and see if your friend has a friend? Do you
Mhm.
go to the gas station or to a grocery store on pick up on aisle six? Where
Mhm.
where is it that we should be attempting to find this special person that we want to be with?
Well, I mean, I think friends setting you up is the best possible way to date. So I would definitely ask your friends. And I would just say do the things that you love already. And, you could ask people out there or approach them. I mean, if you take kickboxing and you notice a cute girl's kickboxing without her a wedding ring on, yeah, I think you should talk to her. Y'all both love kickboxing. It sounds like that's something you could do together. But I mean, again, maybe it's because 'cause I'm white, I don't know. I think approaching a woman in a grocery store is weird. I would be like, "Is this dude gonna follow me to my car?" Like, I mean, that's just you have to think, like, how a woman thinks, like, don't be dangerous or like, I mean, at a gas station, again, what is going on? Right? Like, but somewhere that you are doing something that is natural that you love. I mean, it could be even be at Home Depot or Lowe's. I mean, if y'all are picking out something or you could ask her for help, that would be very hot actually. If a guy asked me if he could help me at Home Depot. I mean, right, but I think like complete randomness is creepy, and if you are approaching women at gas stations and grocery stores, I think a woman is immediately thinking, "How often do you do this?" But if you're approaching her in a place where there might be some common interest and it's kind of natural, then I think it's totally fine.
How do you know when you're dealing with someone? Because there are a lot of people, men and women, who are very emotionally unhealthy. You have very toxic people, just for example, when I was in the dating world,
Mhm.
I I've come across women who had been raped, molested, women who have been raped and molested, who are still dealing with those various traumas. I met a young lady who attempted suicide several months before we met.
Right.
Um, there are women, and I would have to assume there are a lot of men who have absolutely no business on the dating market whatsoever. And a lot of
Right.
times you don't find these things out about them until you're halfway invested. Are
Right.
there how what are the signs of someone who, in your opinion, in your estimation as a professional in this industry, what are some of the signs of someone who is probably or possibly more emotionally healthy and well and prepared for a relationship as opposed to those who have no business dating?
Oh, wow, that's not what I was prepared for. Um, I would just say somebody that listens well. I have trouble with this, but, just somebody that,
Well, you're married, so it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
but
You
I'm
already
just
got your
saying, I
husband.
mean, I cut people off, I don't know. But somebody that you feel like is truly listening to you and, not thinking about how to answer you, but listening to you, and paying attention, I think that's a good green flag. I think that people that have friends, that have a social life outside of work, that's a good green flag. And I think people that are happy with their job, that is way more important than money. Because who cares if somebody makes a lot of money, but they're a miserable person? So I think like happy with their career, has friends, listens well, and has the ability to compromise. Those are all really great things to look out for.
Do men and women like each other?
Yeah, yes, but I think it's become a little bit more of a power struggle lately. And I think that is the issue that we've got to get past, right? That men make women feel like they can still be independent, and women, if they want a man to truly lead, that they give them the ability to do that without trying to walk all over them.
We're gonna have to come up with a term for this relationship that modern women would like to have with a man who has traditional values, but who also recognizes and respects their independence and that they have and deserve a say, and that they may want to start their own business or they may want to run a nonprofit organization or they might choose to stay home or they may choose to stay home, pardon me, for a certain amount of time and then get back out in the workforce. There has to be like I feel like there's a new type of relationship, a new type of dating. It's either traditional or modern, but I feel like there's a hybrid. You brought it up. There's like a hybrid type of woman nowadays who's looking for that type of guy. And I feel like and I'm not putting blame on men or women, but I feel like as men, we're more reluctant in general to give up the level of, I guess, power and control that we've traditionally had in relationships. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, let me know if you come up with a word. I do think men are reluctant to give up the power and control, and I think we're is the reason you that you're worried that you don't like each other is this is about power, and you have to figure out how that's going to play out and talk about it, right? Like, I think if you can make a woman feel like her opinion matters and that you're not just going to tell her what to do, but you ultimately want to lead and you're fully capable of leading, then she will really appreciate that. So, yeah. I mean, if there's a way, if there's a way to talk about that kind of relationship, I think that's what most women are looking for.
We have to bridge the gap. We have to bridge the divide between men and women. Who makes the first step, women or men?
Um, I don't know. It needs to be equal. I mean, like a relationship. I think if we really want men to lead, men should. Maybe they need to just start with talking about what a traditional relationship means to them. Because as somebody who's been in matchmaking and dealt with men that say that, a lot of men literally mean cook and clean and take care of the kids and be able to go on vacation whenever I want and be able to always follow my career. And so, because there's a lot of men out there that use that word that mean that. And if you don't mean those things, then you just need to talk about it. So, because the women are judging you too, right? If you're saying certain things like, I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care if you make money. I want a traditional woman. She is thinking it has misogynist undertones and she wants you to explain it. Just like a lot of people, when people say they're very conservative, they hear racist, right? Like, so you just need to, I think if you want to be in a traditional relationship, it would be a real turn on for a woman, for a man to talk about that first, about how he values a woman to be in his life. And I think that it would make the woman naturally want to be let him lead. So I think if the men took the lead first, I think it could really uh change the tone, right? I mean,
You heard it. You
we
heard it,
like a man
fellas.
to lead. We like a man to lead.
You heard it. Jennifer Mayaki, 101 matchmaking. She's saying that the women think that men are looking for a subservient sex slave who cooks and cleans,
I didn't
and
say
we're gonna
sex.
have
I didn't say
to
that.
we're gonna have to alter the narrative because we're not men aren't looking for a maid and they're not just looking for a cook. They're looking for a partner. They're looking for someone to help them build their future and leave a legacy behind. So it's up to you men to alter that narrative and make sure the ladies understand where we're coming from. And then hopefully they will follow suit because they'll realize that you are leadership material. Jennifer
Right.
Mayaki, 101 Matchmaking. Any last words?
Yes. Okay. So, and I wrote a book, and it's on Amazon. And in case you're wondering if the problem is you, it's more geared towards women. It's called "I Know Why You're Single," and yes, it's your fault on Amazon. In case you think maybe it's you, it's particularly more so for women, but know that. And hey, if you ever just want advice and you don't want to join a dating service and you just want to talk about it, I'm always here to talk. Y'all can reach me, at One-on-One Matchmaker 888 Dinner Club. And I
I
really
didn't know if
me on.
I didn't know you had the book. I didn't see that when I was researching you. I
I
didn't see
know,
anything
brand
about
new,
it. But
hot off the presses.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That is awesome. What's the name of the book?
It's called "I Know Why You're Single," and yes, it's your fault. So,
So she I love it. I love it. I imagine you'll get me those links and that will be in the description box. And we
cool.
will get you a copy of the book for the first person that reaches out to discuss the book. We'll get you a copy sponsored by Promarketize. Congratulations on your book. Thank you so much for your time, Jennifer Mayaki. I really appreciate it. It has been a pleasure and a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. You listen well. Call me if you want to get out there.
Will do. I'm
Okay.
good, but
Okay.
I'll
Bye-bye.
keep you in mind. Thank
Okay,
you.
bud. All right. Thank
All
you
right.
for having me on. I enjoyed it.
All
Bye.
right. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, bye.